Now, just last week we brought you those special reports on knife crime, and the latest statistics show how challenging a problem it is. There's been a sharp rise in England and Wales. Recorded knife crime over the 12 months to June was up 7%. That's a record high. But it's a mixed picture, with the number of killings related to knife crime down. Our home editor, Mark Easton, has been looking at efforts to try and tackle the problem, and his report starts in a school in Doncaster.
Hello, baby Louie, and how are you?
Might the softness of a baby be an antidote to the sharpness of a knife? Roots of Empathy is one of 22 projects to win government funding to see if they might reduce youth violence.
You think he's feeling happy, Roxanne?
For 1 hour a week across a school year, children will bond with a baby, watch it grow, build an attachment.
Now then.
Already used in 11 countries, there's evidence this approach can develop empathy, making children less vulnerable to the knife crime epidemic. In Kent, police are using a more traditional response to knife crime and so-called county lines drug gangs, arming all their frontline officers with tasers. But the Chief Constable says force alone cannot solve the problem.
We arrested a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old who were involved in county line criminality. Safeguarding them and moving them away from a life of crime is more important necessarily than charging them and putting them through a court.
The story of violent crime in England and Wales over the past 40 years is of a significant rise, peaking in the mid-90s and then falling by 70%. In fact, today's figures show your chances of being a victim of violence are now lower than at any time since records began. However, police data tells a different story with knife crime over the last decade. A fall in recorded incidents from 2010, but then rising again a few years later, now higher than ever. The murder of Ben Kinsella in Islington in 2008 prompted a political focus on knife crime. The haunting pictures of his final moments touched the nation then and still shock now.
An awful tragedy like Ben's death forces the issue of knife crime onto the front pages. Politicians feel they have to respond and resources are pumped into some kind of action. But then the issue fades from daily news and the energy and the money starts to run out too.
Living in a notorious area, I think it's something that is quite on my mind and my parents' mind as well. It stops me from doing many things in my house and going out.
Community youth work like this project in East London is constantly struggling to retain funding. Youth Justice Board budgets for preventative work have more than halved in the last decade.
Are you watching to see what his reaction to this is?
Start young and stand by them. That's the answer. But the impact and the credit may belong to a future generation. Mark Easton, BBC News.